Alright, what's up YouTube fam? I got tired of the edge that I had before, so this will be episode 3 of the Frontier Hawk. And as you can see, what I did there is I went on my contact wheel and I put a hollow edge. It's old school, how I think a lot of the axes used to be. Now this is so sharp, I could slice through kitchen paper. I should have brought some kitchen paper to show. But this is significantly better. And just 1,000 times better, so I really strongly recommend it. The nice thing with using a contact wheel grinder, right, so I had the wheel here and I'm grinding like this so you get a hollow edge, is that there's no chance of marring any of the surfaces when you're sharpening, and you also get a much keener edge. Now I've got some trees here. I thought I'd cut some branches off. One thing I noticed, it's very good for this when it's sharp to clear your way through the brush, but the thing you got to be careful for is when you're swinging this at a branch, it's going to come down and you might hit your knee. So you got to be careful with how you do it. You want to kind of go away from yourself. Let's just get this branch out of the way here. This one. So hold on a second. So it's very, very good for that. These trees are kind of nice here, actually. I shouldn't... see, is that still in the, yep. So you see, you cut through, but it's gonna want to come down, so you got to be careful with that. It's actually really good for this, apart from the fact you got to be careful where it goes. One thing I noticed with the Frontier Hawk is that it might actually be too heavy for a tomahawk still. So compared to old school tomahawks from the past, there's actually a chance, because I don't know what they used to weigh, but after swinging this for a round, I got it for it being super lightweight, and it is. I think the traditional like fighting tomahawks are probably even lighter than that. So, but you can see that it is very sharp. Like that. And so another nice thing now that the edge is so keen and so so sharp is that I can now choke up much closer. The problem I had before is I had to, if I wanted to whittle wood, I had to come out quite a lot. So now much easier. So, but again, if you're gonna collect axes and you're gonna get yourself some axes, let's see if I can get a better, so it's much easier now to do that. So I'm glad I did that. It was sharp before, but the angle was so obtuse that it was actually kind of difficult to use it, in a sense that it was like more versatile. So now it's much more versatile. So it's a water-cooled belt grinder, and there's a contact wheel going in this direction away, and I just press the edge on there, and it just makes it much steeper and more versatile edge. I think it also looks better too. So there's the same branch. See, it just cuts right through. So it's almost like a machete in a sense in this context. And of course, the only thing that I really don't like about this is that silly hole there. I wish they didn't have that hole, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna try and get rid of some. Yeah. You see, it just falls right through. I'm just clearing the brush so that it doesn't, you know, come out onto the road here. Just kind of seeing my way through. Can you see over there? Yeah. Here's one. Try and get a nice. Here's a nice thick branch. One swing, so that's very good. And that's, I think, as useful as it'll ever get in terms of sharpness, in terms of edge angle. That's really where you want it to be at. Quite versatile. You got that reach, and because it's an axe, it's kind of makes it easier to kind of reach around behind the brush and get like an attack angle on a branch that's like behind a bunch of other branches, which is pretty nice. But yeah, much more pleased with it the way that it is now. I don't have like a chopping block here that I can use to show. See, it's much easier now that the angle on the head, the edge angle is closer. It allows my handle to be much closer to the wood, so that's really nice. So here's another thick one. I don't know if you can see. So we're just gonna oops. So I think what the tomahawk reminds me of the most is these old like Stone Age tools that you see, like these Neolithic type of axes and these ancient Mayan, ancient, you know, sort of South American or European or all over the world kind of axes where they have this, you know, tiny little sliver of copper or flint or whatever just kind of mashed into a piece of wood, and it's probably used for the same thing or for similar purposes. So except this is probably a lot sharper. Hold on. Bit dangerous to do that, but much better now. You're basically forced to do an edge like this. One of the benefits, of course, of having a hollow edge like that is if you're on the field and you don't really, you know, you have a sharpening stone, you don't have your machines with you to do a good job with the sharpening, because it's a hollow edge. If you have to, or you're forced to sharpen it with a stone, you got 2 points of contact, the first being at the top of the edge and the other one being at the bottom. So if you're forced to sharpen your axe, it's actually much quicker. It's very quick, it's very clean, and you can do a flat edge just using the stone like that, because when it's a hollow like this, right, the thumb is where the edge is, and the fingers here is where the top of the hollow edges against the body of the axe. Your stone goes here, so you get a very, very clean, very consistent sharpening edge. So I think overall this is probably the best type of edge you can have on an axe. So that's really the update for today. I think this is the best it can really get, is by having an edge like that. So if you have like a Tormek, if you have contact wheels, if you have traditional axe sharpening machines and stuff like that, then this is really the best way to go. It took a while to do. There's actually a lot of metal to remove from the top, but overall it was definitely worth it, and I like the axe much more now. It's much more useful. Again, the edge retention is really good. There's no problems at all with the edge retention. It stays really, really sharp. I mean, I got this so sharp you couldn't even feel it shaving, you know. It was cutting through kitchen paper. So, but overall, super pleased with this. It's very nice. I'm glad I did the edge on there. But you know, again, 10 out of 10. I freaking love. I think this is a really nice product, but you're gonna be forced to do some modifications to it to really get it up to your standards. And quite frankly, one of those things is going to have to be, you're gonna have to figure out what you're gonna do with the edge on the axe. But then, in the defense of the product, when it comes to bladed instruments or edged tools, you have to have your own edge forming tools as well. You gotta have your sharpening stones. You're gonna have to have your contact wheels. Like, you're not gonna, you know, go out and collect thousands of axes and knives and all this kind of stuff and not have anything to sharpen with. So, you know, in some ways, the sharpness that's out of the box, the out of the box sharpness, that's just the sharpness you're gonna have for now. But, you know, sometime within the next however amount of time it's going to be, you're going to have to yourself hone the edge and manage the edge and modify the edge to your purposes. So when it comes to the sharpness of an axe or a knife, or, you know, whether it's kitchen knives or whatever, it's your job. That's your task. Your role is to keep that tool sharp and to maintain that edge over the next 20 years, 30 years, however long you got left. So, you know, but this is right now ideal for me. It's so freaking sharp, man. It is so freaking sharp. Yesterday I was chopping branches in one swoop that were like about this thick. So it's got a lot of oomph. It's, you know, and I think historically speaking, you're getting a lot, because back in the day, in order to make an axe, you had like a wrought iron body, some kind of tube, and you'd have a small sliver of a file, you know, probably less steel than there is in one of these scalpels, which you can get off my website if you like to support my work. You know, in a lot of those old tomahawk axes, you just have an iron body and you insert a piece of steel that's roughly, you know, even smaller than what there is on this scalpel. So you wouldn't even be able to make actually a knife out of the amount of steel that they put in those axes. And then what you get out of that in terms of like efficiency in materials and manufacturing is a tool that behaves like a machete, that behaves like a proper weapon. It's a full-size tool. So, you know, from a historical perspective, the hatchet or the tomahawk is pretty brilliant, because you're turning essentially, you know, what, a 20, 30, 40 gram piece of steel into a 500, 600, 700 gram weapon slash tool for survival. So yeah, kind of brilliant if you think about it. But in the modern day, we have so much mono steel, you can easily forge one of these out of 5160 or something, and it's all good. You don't have to worry about, you know, so much about being careful with how much steel you use up. So overall, your edge angle is always going to be very important, and how you sharpen your tools and how you modify the edges on your tools is really what's going to bring the most out of your products. And yeah, that's awesome. That's all I think I have for today, guys.